T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the 5 Foot Viking podcast, where we get to drink a beer and learn something new. Today's going to be a fun one. It's a little bit different schedule. We're going at 6 o'clock. And I just want to say that I think it's really cool that my friends over at WAW reached out and we kind of collaborated on tonight. I thought it was really a testament to just how everybody can work together and we can all succeed. So just so you guys know, I'm coming on a little bit early. I normally come on at 7, but World According to Woot, WAW, they normally go on Wednesdays. Some scheduling things happened, and so they're actually going to go on today. And I'm excited for their show. They're going to be interviewing the lead singer of Queen Nation. So I'm definitely going to stick around and listen to that. But coming to you guys today we are recapping season 3. Now, season 3, we had some crazy ups and downs, some really good stuff. And today I went through some of the different podcasts, and I was taking some different clips from them so that I can put things up. And I was learning from the last one that we did. I was making the clips way too long. So we ended up, I think we ended up doing the podcast for like an hour and 40 minutes because my clips were just way too long and we talked way too much about it. So I learned from that. This one's going to be fun. We're going to talk about episode 21 through episode 29. And I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Oh yes. And Jessica's on here. Yay, Whit braided his beard for me. Yes, I did. I didn't braid it. My lovely wife braided it for me. And I couldn't do the whole thing. It's not completely long enough to get the whole thing braided, but I did a little bit of the Thor action going on today. Oh, and speaking of World According to Woot, Brenda is watching. Thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate that. And my good friend Alberto, what's up, brother? Good to see you on here. Thanks for being here. So once again, we're going to be recapping some of the last episodes that was so much fun. There was some good stuff as I was going through. I was learning a lot about how I was doing the podcast, how it's been moving, what it's been morphing into. And as you can see, now we're in a studio and we've got some lights set up and we're still getting better. We're still getting better with everything. But before we move into the recap, we all know what time it is. And let me bring this out. We all know exactly what time it is right now. I want some beer. I think I'll have some beer. I fucking love this beer. I'm gonna drink this beer, bitches. Oh yeah, that's my favorite song. So it is beer time, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, it is no mistake that I'll be drinking a Stone Buenaventura today. I love this beer, and this is definitely my go-to. Stone Buenaventura. It is a salt and lime lager, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 4.7%. Yeah, 4.7%. So I'm going to keep it classy. I'm going to put it in the mug because that's what we do around here. at the 5 Foot Viking Podcast, we drink out of mugs. So if you got a drink at home, please put it in the air. Skål. Mm-hmm. All right. Moving right along. Tony, skål. Good to see you on here, buddy. So moving right along, I wanted to jump into podcast number 21. Now, podcast number 21, I was still living in Huntington Beach. I was moving a lot of stuff. It was difficult because I kept moving all my computer stuff, all my podcast stuff from my bedroom into the living room, and had guests coming over and stuff. So it was definitely an all day event. But I had my good friend, Mr. Mike Davis. He came over and joined us at the house. Mike is the bass player for a band called Dramarama. If you're here on the West Coast, you probably know them very well. I know they were really big on the West Coast and back in the 80s. If you heard the song Anything, 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 you know exactly who I'm talking about. But also Mike is a chef and he's just an all around great guy. So he left work and came straight over to the house. So here's a little clip from the 5 Foot Viking Podcast number 21. Excited to have you here, really, because I feel like this is going to be one of the podcasts where I really get to learn a lot. You're like, who is the steel rod we talking about?
Uh-oh. Wow, these guys are pretty good.
Bunch of jerks. I love the shirt. We were literally just talking right before we went live, and he's like, I'm so glad I wore this shirt. We just lost everything.
Those aliens follow me everywhere.
I'm telling you,
they follow me.
Give us a little bit backstory of where you came from.
Just east of Los Angeles, called Montebello. Went to a private school, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think you're all bad?
What's that? Yeah, that's a whole other podcast of what happened in the private school. All I could do was listen to music. Paul McCartney, the Beatles, and ELO was like infused in my vernacular, my music vernacular. And my parents love music. My mom was a pianist. My dad was a guitar player, singer. And they basically always told me it was inevitable. Mm-hmm. It just got you when it got you.
That was fun. That was such a blast. Now, I'm learning to keep my clips just a little bit shorter, but also if you do want to go back and one of the clips is interesting to you, and you want to go back and listen to it or watch it, there are links above and below, depending on what platform you're looking at. There's links to the full episodes if you want to go check it out. We ended up talking a lot. Me and Mike, we had a great time. He's just such a fun dude. We talked a lot about music. We talked a lot about cooking, a lot about some of his new things that he's doing right now, going on tours and stuff. And I do know for a fact right now that that Dramarama just got picked up to go on the 80s cruise with us next year. So Dramarama is going to be on there. Also, Gene Loves Jezebel. And that was a blast. And one thing that I learned about from his and in some of these podcasts, I've seen like and you guys have experienced this as well. Sometimes the audio goes out, sometimes the visual goes out and stuff. And that's, one of the drawbacks to doing something live. But one of the fun things about doing it live is that I've got people here that are commenting right now, like Jessica Knight, who says, I'm 21, but I'll settle for diet green tea instead. So she's drinking green tea. Thank you so much for hanging out. And Brenda, kicking back, enjoying the show and having a glass of wine with you, my friend. I love that you're pre-gaming so that when WAW comes up at 7:30, you're going to be ready to go. And my pops is here. I'm here. I love it, Dad. Thanks for being here early. Appreciate it. And so the podcast that we did with Mike, that was fun, learning a lot about where he came from, how he jumped into, because we talked a lot about his musical career through the 80s and what that was all about. But then also how, he was born and raised in like Montebello, and he's kind of just been like a hometown boy. And he jumped into, he's been cooking now at multiple different places. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to go back and re-listen to it again. But I know that he has a new venture that he's doing. I can't remember if it's in Montebello or Monrovia or something, but it's a brewery that he's working at. And they're pairing a lot of the beers with the food that he's making. So that's really, really cool. We got a few more people here. Billy, brother, what's up, brother? Good to see you on here, man. I appreciate you being here. Ignacio from Turnbull's Tavern, sipping on some tequila. I love that, buddy. That's always a good day. So let's jump into podcast number 22, which I had Carlos Guerrero, and he is a retired firefighter. And man, this was a fun one. He showed up way early to the podcast. And it's funny. I'm glad that he did, because sometimes getting to my old place in Huntington Beach was a little bit difficult because our apartment was right next to another apartment. And he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm here." And I said, "Where are you at?" And he said, "I'm right next to the fitness center." And I'm like, "No, you're not," because I'm right next to it. And he was in the wrong apartment complex. But he ended up getting there. He got there really early, and we kind of really got a chance to dive into some of the stories. He just had so much. I want to bring him back on and dive a little bit deeper into some of the stories that he had. But here is a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 22. We have so many different stories that we're going to go into, and different background and different everything. Actually, you know what?
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I interrupt a lot. And it's
Me
my
too.
ADD. Yeah, my undiagnosed, personally diagnosed.
Tom Bien.
ADD brothers. I wanted to be a race car driver.
What?
Yeah,
Nice.
Because I wanted to go fast. I didn't want to. I never liked using the brakes.
You're like Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last.
And then I was going to be a flight attendant because I wanted to travel, and I wanted to see girls.
Well, yeah.
And we were all over, turbulence, everything. I go,
gosh.
shit, this is dangerous. I can't do this. I'm going to die. So I became a fireman instead. I pulled the ripcord and went down the slide. I'm out. I'm out. Too dangerous. So a lot of people that are out there, if they want to be a firefighter, they know somebody wants to be a firefighter, don't be discouraged if you see 5,000 applicants.
Yeah.
Of the 5,000 applicants, it's easy to point and click and apply.
Yeah.
The harder part is, do you have
follow through?
If you're 42 and you're out of shape, you need to be shape because
why you got to throw my business out there?
Did I throw you out there?
I'm 42. I remember that. It was like, he just pulled a number out, and that's my age. And he's like, "If you're 42 and you're out of shape," and I was like, "Wow, dude, you're reading me like a book right now, bro." You know what, though? That was a great podcast. And that section at the end, when we were talking about the hiring process, Carlos actually had an interesting career in the fire department. You know, he went through that, but then he also became a spokesperson. So he was on TV a lot, and he did a lot of the, like when there's a big fire somewhere, and they go to somebody on the news, and they go to that person who's representing the fire department to explain the situation. He was the guy that they always went to, also because he speaks Spanish as well. And so he had a lot of different perspectives from different areas of the fire department. We had so many great conversations about things that he did. I guess there was one story in particular. I can't remember if we dove deep into it on the podcast, but I think he went and was fighting the fires that were up in like Humboldt County when all the weed was burning, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, that was a good time." That was pretty interesting. So, but that last part when he was talking about the hiring process, that was really, really interesting, because the hiring process now for the fire department is very different from when it was back when he joined it. And back when he joined, we're talking, I think, 80s, back in the 80s. And I remember him saying, yeah, back then it was like paper applications, and you had to go down and wait in line and do all that stuff. And now it's all point and click. You can do everything from your laptop, from the security of your home. But that's what he was saying in that last section of the clip was, don't be discouraged if there's 5,000 applicants, because the what you don't see is 5,000 people feel really, empowered behind their computer. 50% of them don't even show up to the test. 25% of those didn't study. And, so he said it's actually a lot, I wouldn't say easier. I don't think that he didn't say it was easier, but just don't be scared of the application process nowadays, because it's mostly online. But we had some great conversations, and I'm going to post a few pictures that he sent me on the Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be following me on Instagram. So go to the 5 Foot Viking on Instagram, or let me throw this up here just for a second. You could go to the 5footviking.com, and on the 5footviking.com, it's a landing page where you can go to the Facebook and the YouTube and the Instagram and all the good stuff. So go to the Instagram, follow me on there. I'm going to be posting some pictures from all of these podcasts that we just did in season 3. And that should be pretty cool. So let's jump into the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 23. Now this one was fun because this one was right before we were moving, and we decided to talk a little bit about why we were moving and how, and our journey through that, and how, because we really put some roots into Huntington Beach, me and my wife Marlene, and we were in Huntington Beach for 10 years. So it was a very emotional move, and I'm still kind of feeling it occasionally. We definitely love where we live now. We're very, very blessed and very happy. But there's definitely aspects of Huntington Beach that we 100% miss. So this is a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 23, and it was with Marlene and my good friend Edgar from the Ed Namrock podcast. Skull. Alex. I just popped in and thought it was an episode of Star Trek.
Edgar?
So I remember you guys were living in Pico, King Taco on Washington and Rosemead's right here. You guys live in the apartments in the back. And I remember running into Witt walking. He looked really mad.
Walking to King Taco?
Yeah, just walking to King Taco. There was a cell phone kiosk inside a Mexican supermarket.
But you're an elephant, dude. You remember everything.
Yeah, traumatic.
I don't remember what happened yesterday. But it was kind of cool to be able to walk to what it was, LA Fitness?
Yeah.
LA Fatness?
Right.
Yeah.
And this one hurts a little bit more than the others because we have lived everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm a gypsy and we've been moving.
This is a whole different setup than what we're used to. I brought in my computer chair and it sits really low. How tall are you? 6'2", 6'3"? And my wife, who is all of 5'1".
I'm 6'3".
She's 6'3", and I'm sitting on this. I'm at the kiddie table.
Yes, you can.
All right.
Let me see.
You're
All right, now I'm
okay.
I'm
on
still.
the adult table.
I'm at the adult table. It's always a pleasure. It's always a fun time when I get to do a podcast with my ride or die, with my beautiful wife, and my good friend Edgar, who literally showed me how to do everything. I think I texted him about 5 minutes before we started this podcast just to make sure I had everything going correctly. But man, that was a fun one, and it was different. We brought out 3 microphones. Turned the table sideways and was kind of doing that, but that was a blast, kind of going down memory lane, talking about how we moved we were living in Pico Rivera and we moved to Huntington Beach, and the changes that happened there, and how that affected us emotionally and with work and with everything. And Edgar was kind of there through it. He came out to the house a lot, and we lived in downtown LA for a little bit. Then we went back to Huntington Beach, and so that was a fun podcast. That we thought we were moving right after that, and our schedule changed with moving out here. So we ended up staying in Huntington Beach for another, I think, 2 weeks or something like that. So that was kind of cool, but it was fun trying something new. Turning it sideways, dealing with 3 microphones, but the hardest part was literally, when I had my computer chair was low and the other chairs were higher, and the visual aspect wasn't great. We can definitely build off of that, I think. But we got a few more people. Brenda. She says, Jim just laughed really loud at that one. I think that was the one from before, but, and Rodney, hey, how are you, sir? Really enjoy your podcast. Well, I really enjoy the fact that you are enjoying it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot. Bob Bacon, hey, how are you? Hi, Witt. Hey, Bob, how are you? And Rodney, digging the beard, Skull. Thank you. We're going to have to talk about that. I think we're going to talk about it next week, actually, because, I put up, if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, my personal page on Instagram or on Facebook, I posted a picture a few days ago my hair was all over the place. My beard was all over the place. I think I was heading to the pool, and I felt a lot like Captain Caveman, and it was a little bit out of control, but that was so much fun. It sparked a pretty incredible debate as far as should I trim it up or should I let it grow? And everybody's, there's the consensus is kind of right down the middle. There's some people that really want to see it go, and there's some people that want to see it keep going. So I think it's, and then the ultimate consensus was, what does your wife think? Which I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, we'll dig deeper into that conversation a little next week. But so moving right along, we went into the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 24. Now this one, I was in this week. I was really feeling it. I was a little bit overwhelmed. I had a lot of stuff on my plate. As most of you guys know, I'm still in school. We were moving. We got places opening up for the bands. I was juggling a lot of stuff, and it was kind of getting to my mental health just a little bit. So here's a little bit of a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 24. I'm drinking Dos Equis. Halfway through, I'm probably going to bring some of this out, this Jameson cold brew. I got to be 100 with you guys. Man, I got so much going on in my life right now. And sometimes with so much on my plate, I just feel like I'm kind of just falling behind. Like I've got this plate full of stuff, and there's some shit falling over the sides. And sometimes it's just very difficult to keep everything on the plate. You know what I mean? Does anybody out there, can I get a amen or a hell yeah, or anybody out there that feels the same way that I do? I think that a lot of my problem that I have right now is time management. Have you ever noticed yourselves losing track of time? I think I need to be more present with what's on my plate and with what I'm saying yes to. I think that might be probably the ultimate problem for me anyways, is that sometimes I just overcommit to things. Yeah, that was I remember that week for sure. There was a lot going on, and I think that last point that I made on that clip resonated, and especially when I was going through and I was editing today. It definitely resonated with me as far as, moving forward. It's not so much that I need to not commit to things, but I need to be a little bit more realistic as far as the things that I have the amount of time to commit to, if that makes any sense. There's some time, trust me, I would love to do this podcast and do this and do that and record songs and then go here and do, but there's only so many hours in the day. And if I overcommit to so much stuff, then something is falling down, something is falling off the plate, and something suffers. And, if I've already committed to something, I think that's when I was feeling that week when I was struggling in school because I was trying to do this. And then I went back over to try and do the podcast or do something with school. And so something was falling, and I felt like I was just, spread too thin across too many things, So once I kind of just took a step back from that table, reevaluated what's the most important thing to do right now. What's the most important thing in my life right now? School is very important. Absolutely. My band and making money and providing for the family. That's up there at the top as well. So, but it was nice to have a podcast and have a platform like this where I can, talk and interact with everybody who's watching and bounce it off of you guys and just see what's, what do you guys think? And it was great to see so many comments on that podcast of people that were going through the same thing that I was going through, maybe not the exact same thing going through school or going through this, but everybody's got a crazy life right now. 2020 kind of threw everything up in the air, and everybody's kind of grabbing what they can as it comes down and just trying to stay, sane and focused and that. So that was a good one. We got a few people. Bob says that the beard's still looking good, bro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Marina. Let the beard grow. We love it. Yes. Okay. That's another one. That's another check for grow the beard. I like that. And Jessica says, are your classes on Zoom too, Whit? I hate Zoom classes. It's hilarious that you say that because yes, everything that I do is pretty much online. And I just had a conversation with my academic advisor, actually my academic advisor from my junior college, which is his name is Damian Jordan. He's an amazing person. He's a great guy and not only a great musician too, but he knows his job very well. To the point where now I'm at Arizona State University and I still call him for help because he can put things in great perspective. So, but yeah, everything that I do is online, and sometimes I feel a little alone because there's very few Zoom classes that I have, but I had one yesterday and I completely slept through my alarm because it was too early. So I missed it. So I have to do an extra work to get through it. But yeah, Zoom classes are not that easy. My dad up in Utah says, school wife band podcast moving. Yeah, that's a big plate. That's a lot was on your plate. That's absolutely true. And then my good friend Edgar is watching. He says that Zoom meeting meme you shared this morning was hilarious, and it's so true. It's so true. If you get a chance, go to my my Instagram and take a look at it. It was pretty hilarious. The crew kids, Nicholas and Gabriel, say hi. Hey, what's up, guys? Nicholas, Gabriel, love you guys. Rock on, rock on. I love these kids. They're awesome. Definitely listening to the good music. Love that. So let's, that was a crazy week. And definitely the podcast helped me out with my mental health on that day. But let's jump into the following week, which was our last week in Huntington Beach. And it was really cool. I got a chance to hang out with my good friend, Mr. Kevin Knight, who is the bass player for Damage Inc. He's brothers with Chris Knight, who has been on the show a few times. And we were talking about home brewing because he brews a lot of beers. So here's a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 25. Your job is basically you're in an office at a desk. You have a team.
I'm
in
a garage at a desk.
For the last year you've been in a garage at a desk. But so you're I'm assuming that you have a team of people that you work with, and you guys all work together to figure out the logistics of.
And then also, how does that integrate into the restaurant? How does it get supported?
Is it better? It's getting there. Hopefully it doesn't do that anymore.
It says better.
Yeah, better
So
voices,
better.
robot voices from Amy.
So there's a couple different levels of home brewing, right? There's the Mr. Beer level, or there's another thing called a Cooper's kit. And what that is it's a pre-made can of beer that you open up. It's like a syrup. And you mix it with hot water, and then you boil it for a little bit to sanitize it, cool it down, and add yeast. But what we had done is called extract brewing. And so what extract brewing is it's a little bit of grain, a little bit of extract.
Oh, the brew in the bag.
That's okay. It's a similar idea.
A similar idea? Okay. Okay. For those of you listening, it's not the tea bag.
This is brew in a bag. So
anytime it's getting bad, throw up in the comments just a bunch of middle fingers, and that way I know what's going on here. Yeah, this was man. That was so terrible. It was like the last one. It was the last podcast in Huntington Beach, and it's the curse of the nights. Anytime I have one of the nights on there, it was for some reason the audio was just I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do and how they bring that to the podcast, but it's burning me out. But no, that was a great podcast. There was a lot of knowledge on there, and Kevin's just a great dude. He we brewed some beers before. Oh, I should have drank one of those today. But yeah, we brewed some beers together, and he's brewed a lot of different beer, and he's tried a lot of different things. So there was a lot of knowledge on that podcast. So if you're interested in home brewing, feel free to go back, look at that podcast, fast forward through some of the audio issues, and get to some of the good stuff, that the process and the hops and the good stuff that he was knocking down. My wife is jumping on here, and she goes, and we were talking earlier about the mental health, and she goes, the wife was actually trying to take things off your plate. I wasn't on it. There was that's very true. You were not the you're never a burden to me, babe. Not even close. You're on my hip. You're my ride or die. I love you with all my heart. And you are literally the person making me more sane when my mind is going crazy. When it comes to stuff like that, you kind of definitely talk me off the ledge, so to speak, when stuff's going down. And then Jessica says, this was where the audio curse of the nights came from. This is actually the first one that came up was the very first episode with Chris Knight back in, I think it was episode 6 or 7. It was one of the first ones. And yeah, we had problems on that one too. And Edgar says, this was when the ATF was monitoring the episode because Kevin was giving away the secrets of brewing some delicious brew. Yeah, that was so rough. I don't know what happened. I still, to this day, don't know what happened because I had everything set up perfect. Everything was great. Everything was looking good. Everything was sounding good in our ears. And it happened, I think 3 times on the podcast that Marlene came out of the bedroom and she was like, babe, it's, you're turning into robots again. I still don't know what happened, but, I don't know. I have no idea. Angie's jumping on right now. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Tony asks, how do you come up with the ideas for your podcast? That's actually a really good question. When I first started this podcast, when I first had the idea for it, it was about a year ago. I was watching Edgar's podcast and the Ed Namrock podcast. He does some crazy ideas. He talks about some crazy stuff. Like he's talking about aliens and Atlantis and politics and all kinds. Like he's really getting into some deep issues. It's pretty cool. But during that time, there was a lot of negativity in the world, and I wanted to create a place where we could kind of push away from that table for a little bit. And I thought, I wasn't really working a whole lot with the band anymore because there was a lot of shutdowns. So I realized that in my career, I've met thousands of people that are professionals in their own walk of life. And I'm fortunate enough to have met, doctors and lawyers and people who own businesses. And so I thought, I'm a fan of learning. I thought it would be great to sit down and just pick their brain at their profession and how good they are at what they do. And that's so pretty much the way I come up with my ideas is something that interests me. I'm all for it. And if it interests me, I hope that it might interest other people and to that extent. And there's also been times that some of my friends and some of the people who have been watching this podcast, they'll jump on and they'll send me a direct message and they'll say, hey, I know a guy who does this. What do you think? I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Connect me. Maybe we can do something with that. So that's kind of how I come up with some of the ideas. And sometimes I don't have an idea and I'll think of something here at the house that's on my mind and use this platform to kind of talk about what's going on in my head a little bit, which is kind of fun. We have Angie and she says, you should cut the beard live on your podcast. That's actually been, I've done that before. Well, not on the podcast, but about in 2016, I had a long beard as well. And I shaved it live on Facebook Live. If you go to my personal Facebook and you look through, you're going to have to scroll back down until 2016, but you'll find a video. It's about 18 minutes long. And I shaved my beard live on Facebook. That was pretty. And honestly, Kevin Knight was the one who told me, he said, man, how many people was watching? And I said, I remember seeing on the Facebook Live, there was like 200 and some people watching. And he goes, that doesn't do it justice because in my cubicle at work, there was 30 dudes watching like, no, don't do it. Which I thought was pretty funny. But, and then we got Ronnie. Sometimes you got to step back and clear the mind. Yes, 100. Absolutely. I'm with that. And that's kind of why I created this podcast where people can step back from what's happening in the world, not to pretend like it's not happening, but sometimes you just need that time to get away from it, just for a minute and just, clear your head, be sane. And Jessica says, how can someone be on your podcast? Oh, that's it. That's it. Reach out to me. That's literally, reach out to me and we'll talk. And if we have something that we can talk about and something that we can formulate. There's a lot of bullet points that we go through and we create like a itinerary for it. That'd be amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, Kim. Hey, Kim, how are you? She goes, tell Marlene I switched to oat milk creamer, baby steps. I love that. That is so cool. I will tell her. I'm pretty sure she's watching this. That's really, really cool. I'm glad that, hey, if it, hopefully you like it, that's baby steps. I like that. All right, cool. So let's jump into, we're going to jump into the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 26. Now this one, we had just moved. And we didn't have internet set up, and we had our whole place in boxes. So the podcast was literally from my phone. But I learned how to use StreamYard, which is the platform that I use for my podcast. I used this from my phone, which was kind of interesting. So here's a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 26. Me and my wife moved on Sunday. We had a lot of great help. And before I go any further, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank our neighbors, Chris and Karen Knight. I want to thank Alex and Brett. And I want to thank my sister, Shivani, and my brother-in-law, Michael, and my little niece, Elena, and my wife, Marlene, for literally helping so much in the last couple of days. Sunday was a whirlwind of a day. I didn't know I had that much shit. Yeah, these last couple days have been a little nuts. And I'm still trying to drink a beer because that's what we do here. So we're here in Rancho Mirage, California. We moved from Huntington Beach. So we moved from the beach to the desert. On the day we moved, on Sunday, it was literally, I think, 128 or 126 degrees. Boxes, guitars, basses. What should we expect from living out here? We all know it's going to be hot. Just very, very grateful for the opportunities that we have in front of us. Skol! Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. I had it in I was holding the phone in my hand a bunch. I tried to put it up on a tripod for a little bit. I think that podcast, we only went for about 15, 18 minutes, and it was a rough few days getting everything together and figuring it. We're still kind of figuring everything out, but it sure was a whirlwind of a day, and we still got up and did a little bit of the podcast and connected with people. And that was, and now we're pretty much, I would say we're about 95% done. What do you think, babe? I know you're watching, so comment. Let me know what you think. I think we're about 95% done with everything. Few boxes here, little things that we have to figure out. One of the things what I wanted to ask everybody out there, has anybody had any experience with a Roomba? And that's the little round, I think it's not remote control, but it's like the little round sweeper thing that you just turn it on and it goes around your whole your whole house, cleaning everything up. I'm curious if anybody has had any experience with that, because now that we have like some hard floors, it's we've been tracking in a lot. We realize that we track in a little bit more dirt and stuff, from being outside. And I'm kind of curious if that is something that we should get, because there's a couple of them that are maybe like $200. And then I think Marlene showed me one that was like $1,500, and I was like, nope. But curious if anybody has any experience with those. Dad says, yeah, Kim, I think he's referring to the oat milk creamer. That's awesome. Kim says, you two inspires us. You two inspire. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love that we have an opportunity to get out there. And to be honest, everybody who's on here watching and commenting, you guys inspire me. So the fact that you guys are on here watching, commenting, being a part of this means a lot. It really does. And all the direct messages that I get and the, recommendations and stuff, it's super cool. I really, really appreciate all of the positive energy. And Marlene says, that is awesome, Kim. Hell yeah, that's great. Shivani, my sister, she's up on here. Good times. Angie says, did you get your logo tatted on your body yet? That is a negative. I'm probably won't do that. And unless I'll tell you what, I'll get my logo tattooed on my forehead. No, I'm just kidding. I won't get on my forehead. I'll get my logo tattooed on me somewhere. Let me see. What's a realistic, ridiculously realistic goal? If I get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, might take a few years. I think I'm sitting around 112. So if I get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I will, I'll get my logo tattooed on me somewhere, not, forehead or anything like that. But, so don't hold your breath, everyone, but definitely remember this podcast, because when I hit 1 million, it's going down. It's going to happen. So, all right. Well, let's see, where are we going? It was awesome. Marlene says getting there. I think with the unpacking, we're getting there. Okay, so here we go with some Roomba. Jim says, love the Roomba. Well, I have, and then Angie says, well, I have the Samsung remote vacuums, which is the same thing. Okay, all right. Jessica says that she has the Swifter is best on hardwood floors. We do have a Swifter mop. We do have the Swifter, and but I don't know. I kind of think I don't know. I'm back and forth between some of them. Jim says, get it at Costco. If you don't like it, you can take it back. That's a good idea. Jim Wooten. Hey, how are you, buddy? Yeah, we have one Wit. It does a great job. Just don't piss it off. Don't piss off the Roomba, or else it'll take off and it'll knock over everything and shit. That's great. Jim also says, by the way, brother, I love the beard braid. You can definitely thank Jessica Knight for that. I'm kind of digging it myself too. I think I might be hanging on to it. Tony says, I have my wife. It works great. All right. That's awesome. All right. Let's jump into, so that was podcast number 26. All right, so let's get into the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 27. Now, this one, I was unpacking a lot of boxes, and we talked a little bit about the difference between hoarding and collecting, because since I opened up all these boxes, I found out, I was like, man, I got a lot of stuff that I'm kind of just carrying all this stuff around for years, and I don't even know why. So here is a clip from the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 27. I looked up the definition of hoarding. I was just curious what the actual definition was. So I'm going to read that for you guys right now, if I can read. Hoarding is the persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions, regardless of their actual value. That hit me with a lot of the stuff that I was unpacking, because I found stuff that I'm keeping with me all the time. Siren thing that, turns around. So if I'm showing you something on here, please comment, like, chuck it or keep it. My wife, she goes, it's on. You know what? Let me just get rid of it. I'm just going to get rid of it. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of it. And then tomorrow, and someone's going to ask me, hey, any chance you have a little blue thing that like spins around kind of like that? And I'll be like, bro, I just threw it away. That's going to happen. I don't know why I have so many clipboards. Like an awful lot of clipboard. Still going on the clipboards. I'm 42. I'll be 43. I've got an incense holder. I think it plays music. I feel like I can't throw these away. This is my high school ring that I wore one time. I don't even know why I have this. This is my plaster hand. Why am I keeping this? That was fun. That was a really fun podcast. That was unpacking so much stuff. I was finding all kinds of random stuff that I'm like, why am I hanging on to this? Which was pretty cool. I found a bunch of my medals from, races that me and Marlene had ran. We did a lot of 10Ks and half marathons and full marathons too. We did a lot of full marathons. Actually, one of the first ones the first race that we ever did together, if I'm not no, that's not true. But we did both of our first marathon that we did. I think we both did our first marathon together. We did the LA marathon. That was a long time ago, man. And that was brutal. That was pretty rough. I remember that hurt. That hurt my legs. And then my dumbass did like 5 more after that. But anyways, it was kind of cool going through, seeing all these boxes and seeing all the stuff that we were keeping. But You did 2. I didn't do 2. We did a lot more than 2. We did a lot more than 2. We did that one, the LA Marathon, 3 times, I think. And then I did the Huntington Beach Marathon. I did that one. That one was brutal as well. But I mean, that was fun seeing all those different things that we were keeping. And it just made me think of like, why am I hanging on to this stuff? Why am I hanging on to all this? We got some people jumping in here. John, let me get right here. John says, collecting is an art, hoarding is an illness. That's very, very true. And when I was reading up more, you can look into the full podcast. We talked a little bit more about the difference between it. And collecting too was about also, I think it was something about, being proud of the things that you have, like the medals that I have, the medals from the races that we ran. Very proud of that collection, versus hoarding, is just, yeah, you're right. It's an illness. Jessica Knight says, you have so many clipboards because you are a student. Duh. That's very true. As well as connection to your Facebook account. I don't know if I'm getting that. Let me know if you guys are still checking this out on Facebook. I just got some notification that it's not on there. John says, the 5-foot clipboard hoarder. Yeah, that's so true. And Dad says, you better still have Monkey. If you got rid of him, he will come back and haunt you. Monkey is up there. I don't know if you can see. He's right behind the crystal right there. This area of the shelf is for extremely important memorabilia for me. Let's see, Shivani, my sister, says, still working on the clipboards. That's the best. We need to make a 5-foot Viking meme for that. And my wife says, I stand corrected. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time that I'm going to take a little video of this moment, because everybody is now witnessing that I was right. I was right now. This is the only time then, and I've got it recorded. So yeah. All right. I like it. Fords are still here. I'm on Facebook. Okay, cool. So we got some people still here. All right. Let's jump into, that was the hoarding versus collecting, podcast number 27. Let's look at the 5-foot Viking podcast number 28. This was really cool because my good friend, Miss Karen Knight, Mrs. Karen Knight, she actually came out from Huntington Beach, and she stayed with us for a night, and she got a chance. And I don't know if you can see, this is kind of cool that we're going from clip by clip, and we're seeing the stage move from a green screen and my living room in Huntington Beach to being in the living room, and then being in here with no lights. And then you'll see on this next one, we were starting to get some lights going on. But here's a clip with Karen, and we were talking a lot about, her upbringing on the East Coast, and then also being a musician and booking bands and doing all that. It was just so much fun hanging out with her. So here's a clip from the 5-foot Viking podcast number 28. In my new studio, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Karen Knight. We got a lot of people jumping on. You are super popular. For those of you that know Karen, do you realize how difficult it was to get her to not drink Bud Light today? Skull.
Cheers.
I'm going to get your reaction first. What do you think?
Not bad. Born in New York, moved to Virginia when I was 12.
You're born in New York? You don't have that like New York accent?
When I was younger. Yeah. And then I moved to Virginia, and I had a little bit of a Southern accent. I was 16 when I took guitar class. And I was in a couple of punk bands before that, playing bass and guitar. Troubadour, Whiskey, pretty much everywhere except the Roxy. I've never played the Roxy, but Viper Room.
Road Rage Rudy and
Road Rage Rudy.
You remember Road Rage Rudy?
Wow, that's some memories.
Yeah, that's some
good
good
that was
stuff
a long
right
time ago. Yeah.
Oh, it's glitching again.
Yeah, man.
5-foot Mafia versus the 5-foot Viking right here.
So that's how it came about, though. So
just for you. Yeah, that was a good time. And it was the curse of the Knights once again. I don't know. I don't get it. It's the curse of the Knights. When Chris first came on, we were having audio issues. When Kevin came on, you guys just saw we were having audio issues. And then when Karen came on, we had audio and visual issues. Like the whole thing stopped, and it was I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. But that sure was a lot of fun. When first of all, she got to come and hang out throughout the day. She was hanging out here at the house. We got to show her the place. And then we got in here, we got to talk about music and about, because she, not only is she a musician and she performs on stage and she performs with bands, but she's also done touring, and she also books bands, like manages bands, and she books venues and does that. So it was kind of a fun podcast to see a little bit of the other side of the entertainment industry. Like, when you look at my profession and you look at the things that I do, you see a lot of the onstage aspect. But it was fun to talk with her, because we could talk a little bit more about the behind the scenes aspect and the booking and stuff like that. So, that was super fun. Very, very cool. All right, let's jump into the last segment that we have here, which is the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 29. And 29 was with my gorgeous, beautiful, amazing wife, Marlene Petrell. And she has been living more of a plant-based diet, actually almost completely, for years now. Years. So, and she actually, for a while, I jumped on it with her. And then we started talking about this because people were reaching out to me, asking for recommendations. And I would point them at Marlene, and Marlene would have recommendations for easy transitions. Not really just for people to go 100% vegan. It wasn't about that. It was more about making better choices and lowering your footprint in the animal consumption industry, I guess you could say that. So that was really cool. And I was getting so many different things. Even a few months ago, we were talking about having that podcast, and we never really did. And then it just happened right here on the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 29. And Marlene jumped right in. Like, she jumped in feet first, just, or head first, or, I don't know what what the phrase is. Anyway, she was all in. So she jumped in. She even brought in a bunch of stuff from the kitchen. She put it in a little cooler and had it in here. And there were so many good, easy transitions, things that, just easy substitutions. If you're going to drink milk, well, here's a substitute for that, if you want to do it. So, and it was all about just lowering your footprint a little bit. Maybe if you can change one thing, that's a great idea. If you can change two things, wow, that's awesome. And like Kim said, baby steps. She went to oat milk, which is cool. So here is the last clip today. This is the clip for the 5 Foot Viking podcast number 29. And here we go. Is that how it goes? John, my man, what's up? Didn't we do that?
He called me one day and I answered, what's that? I'm like, yeah, I just aged myself. Yeah. This is my favorite coffee creamer by far. It's caramel flavored silk almond coffee creamer. There's no dairy. So, and then we have mayo, which was the second easiest thing for me to substitute. These babies right here, tiny little things. This is all Trader Joe's, by the way, except for the coffee creamer and the mayo. But they're these little things, but it's chocolate. Some vegan cream cheese. There's some vegan cheese, like just had the perfect formula. I just make a sandwich with this cheese, the ham, some chips that I put in between my sandwich. Because I'm 5 years old.
Is a third grader, potato chips in between her
Can
sandwich.
I breathe?
She goes, probably, I haven't had a glass of milk in probably 8 to 10 years.
Do you miss it?
I don't actually. The substitute that we have is called Oatly, and we can get it at Target. You can get it at Ralph's. You can get it at Stater Brothers, and it's an oat milk, and it's damn good. Very true. That's pretty interesting because if you listen to that podcast, I went in depth a little bit more about my upbringing, and my mom used to go and buy 2 gallons of milk. And one was for the family and the other one was for me because I used to drink so much milk. I would drink a lot of milk. So it's weird that in the last 8 to 10 years, I just haven't. And to be honest, the Oatly that we drink is great. It tastes great. I love it. I use it with cereal. But anyways, if you've been thinking about, maybe having a little bit more of a plant-based diet, but you don't know where to start, that's a great podcast to listen to or to watch. Marlene has a lot of great, recommendations and of easy transitions, which I thought was pretty cool. And also, you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly, and I can connect you guys. And she has a lot of knowledge with it. So that was a lot. And it's always fun hanging out with Marlene. Anyway, she's fun. That was fun, and I was laughing my ass off when I was editing that, because it's so true. There's times when Marlene's my best friend, so when we're talking, I called her up one time and she was at work and she literally answered the phone at work. What's that? like from when was that? The 90s or 2000s or something like that. But anyways, where do we go from that? That was so that is pretty much the recap of season 3. The 5 Foot Viking podcast from podcast number 21 through 29. And I've got some good stuff coming up in this next season, these next 9 episodes. I usually just do 9 episodes, and then the 10th episode, I'll do a quick little recap of it and try to move forward from that. And one thing that I try to take, things that I watched on here and just learn from them and build off of them. And if anybody has any recommendations for moving forward, please, let me know. I'm an open book, and I love I love interaction. I love people giving me, insight into and ideas of things that may, let me know things that you would want to hear or want to talk about. One thing though, I don't talk about politics. I stay away from that one, which, for obvious reasons. I think there's other podcasts that are definitely a lot more vetted and qualified to talk about politics. I'm who am I, So, but I love talking about things that we can learn from and interesting stuff that is going on in people's lives. So please reach out to me if there's something interesting that you would like to talk about or like to hear about. And with that, I just want to let everybody know that I'm probably going to be getting out of here right now. And so please stick around. In the description, there is a link to WAW, which is World According to Woot. And their podcast is coming up in about 25 minutes. They're going to go up at 7:30. And they are going to be interviewing the lead singer from Queen Nation. And they're going to be talking. They always have great guests on their show. They talk a lot of music. They just have a great time. They drink some wine and drink some water, and I love it. It's good time. It's always Woot's happening, but over here at the 5 Foot Viking, it is Wit's happening, and so definitely check them out. You got some time to go refresh your drink and kick back a little bit, and then they start at 7:30. Looking forward to watching them. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in early. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to be on Monday because I instead of Tuesday, like my normal schedule, only because I have next week is my week where I have some stuff I have to do with the band. We're going to be playing some shows. So I'm going to be on Monday at 7:00, and I'll definitely be reminding you guys on Facebook and Instagram. So make sure you go to Instagram and go to the5footviking.com. You can check everything out on there. You can follow me on Instagram and all the good stuff. And super excited for stuff that is coming up. So much confusion. Yes, I know. It's everywhere. There's a lot happening. Good times, Angie. All right. With that being said, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. And I think this is how you end it.